fans, and welcome to another episode of High and Tight. I'm John Nolan, the PBR Virginia DC content manager and the Northern Virginia scouting director. Unfortunately, today I'm riding solo due to some scheduling issues here between us getting to games and the holiday. So, just going to be me. This week, I'm going to update you on our Power 25. I'm going to break down action from the Commonwealth Classic. We're going to name a team of the week, a player of the week, and I'm going to talk about scout blog standouts that are specifically from our Commonwealth Classic. So let's go ahead and get rolling right off the top here. And I'm actually going to start with our updated rankings. This Power 25 will have run on Monday, April 10th. And we are going to have a new team moving into the top spot. Moving into number one this year is St. John's College from DC. The WCAC first place team is currently 14-0, and the Cadets won the IMG championship over their spring break trip down in Florida. Other big movers in our rankings were Independence, James Madison, and Lake Braddock, all of whom dominated on their spring breaks and moved into the top five, along with Mills Godwin, who jumped to number three. So that's our new top five. Bunch of new teams in the rankings this week here as we give you new ranks after the last couple of weeks here. Entering the rankings are Tuscarora, Patriot, St. Albans, Liberty Christian Academy, Amherst County, Hayfield, Hanover, and Millbrook. Make sure you check our story on the website to see where all of those teams landed. And as spring breaks start to cycle towards their end, I know parts of the state are taking their breaks here this coming week, April 10th to the 15th. We will go ahead and settle into updating our rankings here back on a weekly basis. So look for a new Power 25 every Monday. And now, on that note, I want to go ahead and move into our team of the week. And our team of the week here for the fourth time this season, we're handing this out. It is Mills Godwin. Congratulations to the Godwin Eagles. They won the inaugural Commonwealth Classic, defeating Hanover on Monday night in the championship game after knocking off Freedom South Riding in the semifinals and Greenbrier Christian in the quarterfinals. So, congratulations to the Godwin Eagles, now 8-0 on the season and your Commonwealth Classic champions. Speaking of the Commonwealth Classic, let's go ahead and run through it. This was the first time that PBR Virginia DC has hosted this event. We had 8 teams participating, and we thought it ran really, really well in spite of some difficulties with the weather on Saturday. I do want to start first off with a big thank you to my usual partner in crime here, Jason Burton, for organizing, planning, and running this event. It was an outstanding job. And I also want to send out thank yous to Henrico County for the use of RFMP on Monday, to Billy Wagner of the Miller School, and Tyler Kane, the head coach at Hanover, all of whom allowed us to use their facilities this weekend, and to the Virginia Baseball Coaches Association and Tim Mary for their support. And I do want to give an extra hat tip to Coach Wagner, who on a moment's notice on Saturday led us onto his field after it became clear that our originally scheduled games for Shepherd Stadium were not going to happen there. Obviously, on Saturday, April 3rd, we were dealing with some weather. So that made some difficulties. Pardon me, April 1st. Yes, it was April Fool's Day from the weather standpoint there. The teams that were at Shepherd Stadium were clearly not going to get a chance to play there. And Billy suggested that if everyone was willing to get on a bus and drive to Charlottesville, we could use his field at the Miller School, which was turf. And that's what ended up happening. So let me go ahead and recap what ended up happening. So it was a wet Saturday. We were planned to get in 8 total games, 4 at each site, so that we would only have final game matchups slated for Monday. That ended up not happening. We were only able to get the quarterfinals played at both locations. So let's go ahead and start over at Hanover, which saw the home team Hawks ride an 8-run second inning to open up an 8-0 lead over Highland School and ultimately hang on to an 11-5 win. Highland had multiple different times where they threatened to get back into the game. The score was down to 9-5 at one point in time, but Hanover just kept extending. In the other quarterfinal at Hanover, the evening game, 2025 right-handed pitcher Jake Wise of Benedictine threw 5 outstanding innings against Frank Cox as the Cadets cruised to the 7-1 victory and a spot in the semifinals. In the evening, after moving over to Miller School, these games were at 5 and 7:30. Freedom was able to ride a dominant complete game victory from senior left-handed pitcher and NC State commit Ryan Marone to a win over Miller School, and Garrett Mason, a senior Virginia Tech commit from Godwin, was outstanding as the Eagles cruised to a win over Greenbrier Christian. On Monday, in the early games, which were the semifinals, Hanover was able to upset Benedictine 1-0 on a walk-off win when a throw to third on a stolen base attempt got away. And Godwin and Freedom had a back and forth game over at RF&P that Godwin was actually able to eke out late and win the game, setting up a championship between Hanover and Mills Godwin, an all Richmond Public School championship. And in that championship game at RF&P on Monday night, we actually had a pretty large crowd there. It was a pretty cool atmosphere between the two teams. Godwin was able to jump out to a quick lead early, and they extended it a couple of different times, ultimately opening up a 6-0 lead in the fifth inning. Hanover was able to close the gap. They scored 3 to make it a bit closer, 6-3, and they had a couple of other chances, but weren't able to get there. Mills Godwin is your Commonwealth Classic champion, winning 6-3. And that is going to make them our team of the week. I would like to hat tip the other teams that were in the mix for team of the week right now. And we've mentioned a couple of these already here with the rankings updates. I want to go ahead and hat tip James Madison. Madison went to Myrtle Beach to the Mingo Bay Classic, and they won the Mingo Bay Championship, beating Battlefield, believe it or not, in that championship game. So a good job by Virginia down at Mingo Bay and Myrtle Beach. So nicely done to Madison. Independence was in Florida. They went 5-0 on their spring trip to remain unbeaten. Lake Braddock is up to 11-0 on the season now. They swept the Northern Virginia Spring Break tournament, including a 12-inning walk-off win against Gainesville, a doubleheader sweep to open the tournament of Chantilly Westfield, and they also had a blowout of what's actually a pretty darn good Marshall team. So very impressive week there from Lake Braddock. And then lastly, a couple of other tournament champions that I want to mention: Alexandria City, the Jeff Baker Classic champions down in Woodbridge at Garfield High School. And then Meridian winning the inaugural Grant and Danny Spring Showcase. And then lastly, Atlee High School winning the Deep Run Classic Championship. So a lot of great spring break action for those teams. We'll have some other teams on break right now while the rest of the state returns to normal action. So hat tips to all of those teams. And let's go ahead and move on now to our player of the week. And our player of the week for week 4 is our Commonwealth Classic Tournament MVP, Garrett Mason. Garrett's a 2023 grad. He is predominantly a right-handed pitcher, but he's a two-way contributor for the Mills Godwin Eagles, and he is a Virginia Tech commit. We got a chance to chat with Garrett Mason and with Mills Godwin post-game after their celebration. Let's go ahead and throw it over to that chat right now. All right, I am here with Garrett Mason and Mills Godwin. First off, congratulations, Mills Godwin, the Commonwealth Classic champions. And Garrett Mason is our tournament MVP. Come on, Garrett. You gotta finish. High five. Now that you're all wet. All right, Garrett. 4 innings, 8 strikeouts, shutout ball in the first game. You had a big hit today to tie the game. What was your mindset, your approach to that at bat earlier today?
Well, I mean, he was getting me with the slider, so I was sitting dead red slider, gave it to me, left it over the plate, backside single, get my boys, let them do the work.
All right. And so a lot of guys involved in tonight. You had a bunch of different arms cycle through. Anyone else that you want to mention that had a good performance this evening?
I mean, everybody was on the team, dog. Let's give it up for Charlie Cohen.
Give it up for Zach Boyd. Let's give it up for the closer, Hank Pearsall.
They come in, they do their thing. It's just, we're a pitching team, everybody knows that, but we're a hitting team now. But yeah, no, proud of the boys for throwing strikes. So just keep this out of it.
All right. Congratulations. Good luck the rest of the season. Congratulations, Godwin. And also, while we are on the theme of Player of the Week, would like to hat tip to the Commonwealth Classic all-tournament team. We've had a first team and a second team. All of these teams are available on our website. I'm just going to run through the first team real fast. Players who earned first team for the inaugural Commonwealth Classic: Mason Butash from Freedom South Riding, Keller Hamilton from Highland School, Ryan Marone from Freedom South Riding, Mikey Urbaniak from Greenbrier Christian, Juice Tobin from Mills Godwin, Nolan Williamson from Hanover, Terrence Rhodes from Benedictine, Jordan Oliveira from Benedictine, Riley Rorty from Benedictine, and then obviously Garrett Mason, who was the tournament MVP from Mills Godwin. So congratulations to them. Make sure you check out the second team, which is also available to you on the website. And I'm going to go ahead and take a few moments now here to highlight Scout Blog standouts from the last week. These are players that normally would have been featured in our Scout blogs, but they're all from the Commonwealth Classic, which was a lot. So look for them in quick hits, and we're updating videos on their profiles. So I want to hit on four players that I saw over at Hanover in my games really quickly. And I want to actually talk about the first one here as I'm going to cycle through these. I got two committed guys and two uncommitted guys. And the first one here from Benedictine is 2024 right-handed pitcher Riley Rorty. Riley's an Old Dominion commit. He's got a lankier athletic frame, throws from a lower slot. It's a short, loose, very quick arm action. Really like the way the arm works. It is an easy operation. He was holding his velocity deep into the game. He was 87 to 90 early, topped out at 91. His breaking ball has some 10-4 shape to it. He was 71 to 74. He had a dominant outing against Hanover in the semifinals, went 6 innings. I think he only allowed 2 hits, struck out 11. Ended up taking a no decision as they ended up losing in that walk off. But it's just an easy operation. He was repeating, he was attacking down in the zone, up in the zone with the fastball. And I really think there's a chance for him to even add a couple more ticks between now and when he graduates next year. Again, like I said, it was 87 to 90. He touched 91. Um, it's really easy velocity. And I liked what I saw out of Rorty. And again, that's Riley Rorty, a 2024 from Benedictine and an Old Dominion commit. And I'm going to go ahead and stick with my committed guys. And this is actually one who committed just in the last week here. And I'm going to talk about 2024 catcher Mikey Urbaniak from Greenbrier Christian. Urbaniak committed to Longwood here in the last couple of days. So congratulations to him on that. I got a chance to see him in consolation action. I know on Saturday night in their quarterfinal loss, he was on the barrel a couple different times. I saw him again on the barrel twice. It is a short left-handed swing. He's an athletic frame. Does a really good job of showing barrel feel. Uses the whole field. He's got doubles power always. I actually thought he might have been the best defensive catcher that I saw all weekend. Definitely throwing wise, it's a very strong arm. He's got a quick release. I thought he did a good job of um, blocking, receiving, handling his pitcher as well. So it's probably a good chance he's going to stick at catcher. That bat can play at other positions, especially from the left side. So I really like what I saw out of him. And again, that's 2024 catcher Mikey Urbaniak, a recent Longwood commit from Greenbrier Christian. I'm going to go ahead and shift uncommitted now. And I'm going to go back to Benedictine here. I'm going to talk about a pair of 2025 arms. And the first one I'm going to talk about is Jake Wise, right-handed pitcher from Benedictine, who threw and dominated Cox on Saturday night in their quarterfinal win. Went 5 innings, 1 run. I want to say it was like 7 or 8 strikeouts, but I'd have to check the numbers on that. I thought he threw really, really well. He's got an athletic frame. It's a very short arm action, 3/4 slot. Throws with a little bit of intent. Repeats it really well. It's a simple delivery. There's not a lot of moving parts to it. Just does a really good job of attacking the zone. Was really aggressive against a pretty good Cox lineup. Actually did a really good job facing as a right-hander, facing a bunch of lefties. I think Cox started 5 or 6 left-handed hitters in the game, which is not something you normally see at the high school level. Wise was 81 to 84, touched 85 a time or two. Really thought his changeup was good, 73 to 75, used it a bunch. His slider has a similar speed, 72 to 74. Has a little bit of late dive to it in the opposite direction of his changeup. There's some late life on that fastball of his that really plays up and made it hard to hit. So again, that is 2025 right-handed pitcher Jake Wise from Benedictine. Thought he did a really good job. Now, the last guy that I want to talk about here is the guy who has blown up on social media and based on text messages that our staff has received from college coaches has blown up in the college coaching world, and that is from Highland, 2025 right-handed pitcher and uncommitted right-handed pitcher. I might add Weston Lillard. Lillard threw twice in the tournament, threw to 2 batters on Saturday in relief in their quarterfinal loss, and then threw in the consolation game against Freedom in relief on Monday. And both days, man, he was eye catching. There was a lot of coaches on site for the games on Monday. I'm pretty sure just about every Virginia Division One was represented, just from the guys that I saw personally. Lillard was spectacular. It's a long, lanky frame. There's a lot of room for him to add arm strength or add strength to it. He throws from a low slot. It's really long, loose, very, very easy arm action. The ball just absolutely explodes out of his hands. He was 88 to 89, mostly just hitting 89 in the game. I saw him Saturday. The velocity was identical on Monday in his appearance. He threw one slider that came in at 81, that had great arm speed and just some late bite on it. It is just it's an explosive fastball. Guys we're watching off to the side were like, oh, just based on his effort, he looks like he's throwing like 83, 84. No, it was 89. The ball just absolutely jumps out of his hands. He is not going to be uncommitted for super duper long. So if you're a college coach and you're listening to this one, get on the phone with Coach Higgins and get in touch with Weston Lillard from Highland School, a 2025 right-handed pitcher. And so those are the four guys that I wanted to talk about here from my Scout Blog standouts. There are obviously plenty. All of us were very active on Twitter. Jason Burton, who's K's All Day 19, myself, PBRVADC underscore Nolan, PBRMAGF, the Mid Atlantic Ground Forces were on site. This tournament was an outstanding experience to host. We had a lot of fun doing it, aside from the weather on Saturday, which I guess in the future can't get worse. So it was a joy. Thanks to the coaches who participated. Thanks to the people who I mentioned earlier on for their help in running it. It was a great event. We look forward to having this again every year. We actually look forward to trying to potentially expand it in future years. And one thing I do want to note just ahead of time here on future Commonwealth Classics is our goal every year is to try and get the best current teams. So we will base our team selections on their actual current rosters in the year in question. So next year we'll be looking not necessarily on how a team was in 2023, but more what we think that team's going to be in the 2024 season, and so on and so forth. So again, we'll be looking for a new field next year of teams, not necessarily a new field of locations. We're going to keep it in the Richmond area so that it's central to the state. And the idea is, again, to have a mix of public and private from all corners of Virginia. And we would like to get some DC teams down into it as well. I have one very specific in mind. If any of you are paying attention, you might think of who that team would be. So we'll see what that field looks like next year. Very excited for it. Again, same concept. Uh, Quick tournament, 2 days, a lot of action, a lot of good players on the field. So it was a wonderful time, and it was an absolute joy. Just for a little bit of an update, so far on the season, our staff has been to over 68 games, I believe, and we've seen a total of 90 teams from Virginia and DC here in the first month of competition. So I'd say we're getting it done. I know personally, I took a couple of days off after the Commonwealth Classic, but my partner in crime, my usual partner in crime, Burton, certainly couldn't. He was out at the Deep Run Spring Break tournament on Tuesday and Wednesday after the Commonwealth Classic. That man must have a caffeine drip or something, because the number of games he gets to is absolutely absurd. So again, make sure you guys are following on the website. We will have that updated Power 25. We will continue to have scout blogs as we get out to see games. As the season starts to really get into full flow here for the public schools. And believe it or not, we're actually starting to come down to the end here for the private schools. They've got about 4 weeks left until they hit playoff time. So thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you out there.